So now we want to actually start building out our cart page. So we are going to have a 2-column layout, and on the left side we are just going to output all the items in our cart, and on the right side we'll just add the summary along with the proceed to checkout button. So let's go back into our cart screen, and in here I just want to remove that console.log and let's start building out the page here. So we'll just set this to row, so we don't need that, and in here we'll create that 2-column layout. So we'll just do column, and the first one, this is going to take up 8 columns right here. So we'll just do md and we'll set this to 8 because it's going to take up most of the screen, and we'll set the second one and we'll change this 1 to 4. So we have our first layout right here. So for our 2 columns, and the first column we will build this one out first, and then we'll get to the second one. So in here we just want to add in a lit title. This is going to say shopping cart, and underneath shopping cart we first want to check if we have any items in our cart. Now if we don't, we just want to output a message to the user telling them their cart is empty, and if not, then we'll start building out our list items. So let's go ahead and check that. So we can do cart items dot length. So we are going to check the length, and if this is equal to 0, then let's go ahead and output our actual message. So we'll create the parenthesis there, and we'll output the message component. So we have our message component, and in here we'll just say your cart is empty, and then we'll just uh, tell tell them to go back, so your cart is empty, and then we'll use that link right here. So we imported the link, and this will just point back to the home page. So we'll just say go back, and we need to set to and tell them where to go. So we'll redirect them back to the home page, and for the actual message, remember we need to pass in a variant. So we use this for an error message earlier, and that gave us that red color, but now we just want to output a blue color. So we'll say info, and then we also need to add in our else statement. So we'll do else, and then if it's not empty, we'll start creating our list group. So we'll just do list group. So we'll set that up, and for the variant, let's just set that to plus. So variant will do plus, and we'll look at our component right now. So if I save that, let's see what's going on here. So it looks like message is not exported. Let me see here, and it looks like we imported message incorrectly, so we can't destructure that. So that just needs to be directly like that. And if I save this, so if we go back to this page, we can see that we have our empty list group item, but we are not seeing that message. So in order to actually see that message, we need to clear our cart, and for now we'll just clear it like this. So we are going into our application, into local storage, and we want to remove these items in our cart. Now if I remove those and if I refresh that, now we can see our message, your cart is empty, go back, and then that sends me back to the home page. And let's add an item to our cart, and then we want to start building out what's in this right here. So under shopping cart, so right now we do have an item in our cart, and we want to start building out what's inside of list group. So in here what we are going to do is we are going to map through all of our cart items. So we'll set that up, We'll just do cart items dot map, and on each iteration we want to get the item. So we'll use the arrow function, and as we are mapping through, we are just going to output a couple of rows here. So we'll just start with list group dot item. And in here, remember that any time we are looping through, this React requires a key prop here. So we'll just do key, and we'll take the item ID. So item dot product, and remember product is the ID of the product. And inside of that list group, we want to create a row, and this row is going to have a few columns. So for the first one, we'll just do call, and I'm going to set this to MD equal to 2. So we want to take up 2 columns. We'll set that to 2, and this will be the item image. So we imported the image from React Bootstrap. So we'll set the image tag, and for this, the source is going to be the item image. So we'll just do item dot image, and after that we want to create a new column. So we'll set up the next one. This will also be, actually this one will be MD3 for the size, and we'll call, and that needs to be lowercase after that, and we'll set this to MD3. So medium 3, and this is going to be the product name. As we are setting up the product name, we actually want to create a link to that product. So we'll add the name inside of this link tag, and inside of that link tag, we are just going to do item dot name dot name, and for the actual link, we are going to set this to like that, and we need to use our backticks. So we need to pass in the item ID or the product ID. So we'll just do forward slash product. So we are going to link to the product page, and here we are just going to do item dot product. So we are passing in the product ID. So we'll do item dot product, and that should link us back to the product page. And the last one, the last column in this row is going to be for the item price. So we'll do call, and for the price here, we'll just pass in MD2 for the size of the column. So MD2, and we'll just do item dot price, and we can just put that right in here. So we don't need a p tag or anything like that. So we'll just do dollar sign, and then item dot price. So let's take a look at what we have so far. So we have our image and our information about the product. I don't know why it's looking like this. So we have our row, we have our 2 columns, and maybe it's because I didn't set the styling yet. So let's actually, I think it's the image itself right here. So I need to set, I will set an alt tag here first, and we'll just pass in the image. So we'll do item dot image or item dot name. So we are going to pass in the product name, and we need to do fluid. So that's going to make it more expensive, and then rounded. So now if I save this, this should work. Okay, so there we go. That's what I wanted right here. So we link back to our product page, and we have our price along with our product image. Now we should not have this border right here. So I purposely remove that. Let's check our console, and it looks like list group item is using incorrect caching. So that should be a capital L. So let's go back in here, and it looks like I forgot this part. So let's group right here. We are going to change this to a capital L, and mine will update the closing tag. So make sure you update this one too. And if I save this, let's go ahead and take a look. Gets rid of that error, and now this looks a little bit better. So what we want to do now is actually add in the quantity and the remove button right here. So if we go into our product page, we are going to take this form. We don't recreate it. We'll just copy and paste it, and we'll add it to this page along with a delete option. So let's go back into our cart, and we are going to go into our product screen. So we'll go into screens, product screen, and we want to grab everything inside of this form, right here. So we created this form 2 videos back, or so I'm not sure how many videos ago that was, but I was created this. So we want to grab everything from the opening form tag to the closing form. So let's grab all of this, and my indentation just keeps getting messed up. So I'm going to hit Control C, and I just want to make sure you can see what we are grabbing. So let's move this to the right. So everything from the opening tag to the closing tag, and we will have to update these values right here. So if we go into our cart screen, let's add a new column right here. So we'll just do call, and this is going to be MD3. So we'll just do MD, and we'll set that to 3. And in here, let's just paste in that form. So I'm going to save it. It's going to fix my formatting. And what we need to do first is we need to change this quantity, so we don't have this state. So this quantity is going to come from the item. So we are going to do item dot quantity, and remember, we are looping through mess something up there. We are looping through our items. So up here we are going through this loop, so we can now have access to the items and set quantity. This needs to change to dispatch here. So the first thing I want to do is actually change right here, and we need to dispatch our actions. So we'll change this to dispatch, and the action we are going to dispatch. So I'll just remove this right here. We need to dispatch our add to cart. So when we change that value, we need to dispatch the section, and the first thing we need is a product ID. So we'll do item dot product. So that's going to pass in the ID and then the quantity, which is going to be the value that we change it to. So this time we can do e dot target dot value, and we can also change this from product to item dot count. The item count in stock, and I think that's it. So we change this to item, and we are using dispatch instead of that set quantity, and item count in stock. So let's go ahead and just test this. So right now, if I change this stock, it should actually update our store here, because we are using dispatch and we are dispatching add to cart. So if we go back here right now, we are at 3. And if I go to 8, we should fire off that action. So let's go into our Redux Dev Tools, and we can see this right here. So if I change this, it's going to fire off add to cart. We can see that. And now if I refresh this, the new value is going to stay. So next, let's just add in that trace icon, so we can actually remove something, and then we will add in the functionality in the next video, but we'll add that in and then we'll complete this page. So just under our form, let's go ahead and add a new column. So we'll just do column, and this is going to be set to 1. So we'll just do md1. We don't need a large column here. So md set that to 1, and we are going to use that button component. So we'll just do button, and for this component we need to set some values here. So for the first one is we need to set the actual type of the button. So we'll set this to type, and we are going to make that button, and then we want to add in a variant. So for variant, we are just going to set this to light. And before we actually add in or add on in the on click event handler, let's add in an icon inside here. So instead of saying anything, we just want to add in a font of some icon, and this is going to be a trace icon. So we'll do class name, and we'll set this to face, and then that's going to be for trace. So let's save that, and then there we go. So we have this right here. We have our trace icon. We want to add in the event handler first. So let's go into or the event handler next. So I'm going to fix this indentation again. So we'll do on click, and then in here we are just going to trigger the remove from cart handler. So we'll add it, and then we are actually going to build it in. So we are going to use the arrow function, and then we'll just say remove from cart handler, and we need uh, we need to pass in the ID. So we are going to pass in the item that we want to remove from our cart. So we are going to do item dot product, save that. So that's going to give us an error, but we can go up here and we'll add in that remove from cart handler. So that's going to go under use effect, and we will use an arrow function for this. So we'll just do const and then remove from cart handler. And this is going to be set to an arrow function, and let's just console out the cart or the remove action. And then the item that we want to remove. So console.log, and we are just going to say remove, and we want the item ID that we want to remove. So we are passing in the ID right here, and we'll throw that in. And then let's go ahead and add that. So I want to add in a new product that's out of stock. Let's add in this right here. So in our cart, we can remove it. And if we go to inspect, it's not actually going to remove that item yet, but we can see remove and the item ID here. So we go to the next one, we'll see remove and the item ID 1. So let's add in some styling. So I want to customize this page up a little bit. I want to fix some margin, and we can go back into index.js. So I'm going to close out product screen. We'll leave cart screen open, and let's go into index.css, not JS. Okay. So I just want to fix up this h1 tag and some spacing. So let's go and add this right here. So we'll just do h1, and in here I just want to set the font size. I want to make this, we'll do 1.8 rem. So we'll do font size, then 1.8 rem. And then I also want to add in some padding. So we'll just do padding, and then we'll set that to 1 rem, and then we'll just set that to top and bottom, and then 0. And I also want to do this to h2. So let's just copy this, and I want to fix up h2. So in h2 I want to set this to 1.4, and I want to set the padding to 0.5 rem, 0.5, and we will leave. So we leave that at 0. So there we go. So that added some spacing, and let's go ahead and get started with this right side right here. So for the card summary, we'll close out index.css, and in here we'll go up or down here. So after our row, which I will minimize the first column. So this column with 8, and let's go into the second one. So here let's create a card. So this is going to be the card summary. So we want to actually create a border, and I accidentally hit caps there. So card, and inside of this card we want to create a list group. And we are going to give it the variant of flush. So we'll set that list group up. Let's close that out. And the variant of flush here. So we'll do variant flush. And we also want to start with our first item. So the first item will be the subtotal. So let's save this, and then make sure that the formatting looks good. So we'll just say list group dot item, and in here we'll start with the h2 tag, and let's just say subtotal. Here subtotal in h2 tag. And let's take a look. So we have our subtotal, and let's see. Oh, looks like I spelled something wrong. Spelled something wrong here. I want to put that as right there. List group. Fix that at the second one too, and there we go. So for the subtotal, we are actually going to have to do some calculation based on all the items and the price. So we want to total up first the items and then the actual price of these items. So we can go back into our code here, and for our subtotal, we are just going to add in the total inside of the parenthesis, and we are going to say items. So in here to actually get the total, so the actual count of the items, not just the items but the quantity, we are going to use an expression here, or we are going to write an expression, and we are going to use a function called reduce, which is a higher order array method, and we'll just map through cart items. So we'll do cart items dot reduce, and reduce takes in an array function, and it's going to take in two parameters. So we need an accumulator. So we'll do ACC, and then we'll actually pass in the item that we are looping through. So item, and in here what we want to do inside of this arrow function is we want to map through these items, and then we want to add the totals. So we want to add to do accumulator, and then we want to do plus item dot quantity, and then we want to set a number. For where we want to start our accumulator at. So we are going to start at 0, and we are mapping through. We are going to take our item and our accumulator and add it up by the total, and then this should render it out the template. So okay, that doesn't look right. So we should not have a 0. So if we change this, it looks like it's just adding up the actual numbers. So I think these are strings right here, so that shouldn't be 0. Let's go back into our top row, and I think it's right here. Okay, so I knew something looked weird here. So inside of e.target value, when we are setting up our add to cart dispatch right here, this needs to be a number. So we'll make sure that that's a number, not a string, and we'll just finish that and wrap it there. So we'll surround that in a number. And now if we refresh this, if I change these values, we have 4 and 7. So it's going to total up those items. So now we are getting the item total, and we just want to get the price next. So the price will go under this, and we are going to use that same method. So let's close out our top column or the large column here. So for the items, and we'll go back in here, and just under our subtotal, we'll want to use uh, this this exact expression, except for we want to change up a few attributes here. So let's go ahead and paste this right here. And so just under this, we'll put a dollar sign, and we want to total the price. So we'll put the dollar sign, and cart items dot reduce dot accumulator will take the quantity, and we are going to multiply this by the item price. So now we are going to multiply this. So item dot price, and we are going to start that at 0. So before we finish this up, I want to set to fixed, and this is just going to allow us to set the max decimal places to the right. So we'll set to there, and that should give us our totals. So let's take a look here. So now if I refresh this, we see our total as we change our price. Our total changes right here, and the total price changes. So the next thing we want to do is add in a proceed to checkout button right here. So just like we did with our product, we are going to have this button right here, and it's going to redirect us to our checkout page, which we don't have yet, but we'll build that. And we also want to create it to where if we don't have any items in our cart, that checkout button so will be disabled. So kind of like this, where if we don't have an item in stock, so let's go back into our cart page, open this up here, and we'll start just below this one right here. So we'll create a new list group item. So we'll just do list group dot item, and in here I want to create a button. So we'll just do button, and we'll use the card or the bootstrap button. So we'll do button here, and we want to set some attributes. So we'll just do type. This is going to be set to button, and for the class name, I want to do class name, and then I want to make this a button that takes up the full width. So we'll do button dash block. And let's actually set some values here or the actual text in the button. So we'll just say proceed to, and then we'll do a capital T, proceed to checkout. And let's just see this first. So now we have our button, and we want to actually add in the handler or the redirect method. So we'll build that out, and we'll actually disable it. So for the disable, this is just going to be true or false. So we'll just disable, and this is going to be set to we'll write the condition. So we'll disable it if cart items dot length is equal to 0. So if it is equal to 0, we'll disable it. So let's just try this. So we'll do triple equals, set that to 0, and then let's try that right now. So right now it's good if we go into here and clear our cart. So we'll go into not memory but application. Let's right click that, delete it, and let's see our cart. So if I refresh this, so now that's disabled. So let's add some more item here and we'll continue from there. So we have our total and we want to add in that handler. So on click, we'll add this function and then we'll actually set it up. So we'll just do on click. So the on click, and I spelled that wrong. So once we click this, we want to trigger the checkout handler. So the checkout handler, and let's create this function. So that's it for the button. Now we just want to create that handler. So in this checkout handler, we'll add that here. So that's all. That's also be an arrow function. So we'll do const checkout handler and we will set this. Let's just finish up the arrow function. And in here we just want to use history. So I want to make sure we have that. So we have history. So we can just do history dot post, and we are going to send this to the checkout page. So we'll do history dot push, and then what we need to do is we need to check if we are logged in. So we don't let a user check out unless this page is actually unless they are logged in. So well, we'll push them to the login page and then we'll have to redirect them to the shipping page. So redirect, or so we are not redirecting them to the checkout page, we are redirecting them to the shipping page. Mix that up. So we'll pass in the parameter. So if they are logged in, they will be sent to the login page, and then later on we'll actually redirect them to the shipping page if they are logged in. So let's just try this. I think that's it for now. So login, pass in this as a parameter, redirect shipping, and let's try this. So we are going to click that, and there we go. So it redirect us. So now that we want to do is actually add in the ability to remove items from cart. So when we click on this, we want to actually handle that process. So we have the event handler, but we are not actually taking that item